Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Bernie with CG Spectrum. Happy Monday. Wish I had another day for the weekend, but the weekends always seem to go by so fast, huh? Anyways, yeah, so I hope everyone had a good weekend. What did I do? I went swimming with my kids at the grandparents' house again. Oh yeah, it was my dad's birthday, so we had a birthday party, just family gathering. We bought him a one of those electric bicycles, but it's like a one of those mini ones where it's not like a full-size bike. But yeah, small. It almost reminds me of a clown bicycle, but yeah, that's what he wanted. So he got a small electric bike. And my 9-year-old son was actually riding it around the neighborhood. Yeah, it fit him better than my dad actually, like proportion-wise, you know what I mean? But yeah, now my son wants one of those. Hey, what's up, Hardik? How you doing? Where are you from, Hardik? Hey, what's going on, Tony? Yeah, so today we're going back to this thing, the Kaiju turnarounds. Right before the stream, I kind of messed with the proportions a little bit more. He was looking really, really wide. It's one of those things where when you're just in front of the computer or in front of the image for quite a long time, it's hard to get the right perspective on it. So I took a week off, looked at it this morning, and I was like, wow, it really is off. So I made him look less wide and shortened the arms a little bit, and I think it looks better. So at this point, we're gonna take this and clean it up. Like I said last week, what I'll do oftentimes, especially when it's a concept that is not humanoid, like this one. If it's a human, maybe one pass will be fine with the orthographic views. I could, you know, get it spot on and then move on to something else. But for more of a monster or a creature or design that I'm not used to doing, often I will have to do a second pass on it, or multiple passes sometimes, to get it right. So here, this was my first pass, and now I'm going to do a second line drawing pass over this just to clean it up and refine it a bit. Hey, Meta. What else is new? Oh, I have my, for those who know, I have my backyard chickens running around in the backyard now. I got a automatic door for them, like a coop door that opens up whenever it senses sunlight. It'll open up on its own, and at night it closes on its own. But yeah, now I don't have to like open and close the door for their coop. They just run out on their own in the morning. But yeah, they're pretty cool. They all have like their different personalities. My wife really likes the chickens. I was surprised by that, and she's surprised by it because she did not think she would like them, but she likes them almost more than I do. But But yeah, like there's one chicken that we have. We call him or her Fuzzball, little Fuzzball. But she's like the nicest one. She's the smallest one, but she's the nicest one. Where she'll always come up to us and she wants to be held. It's weird. It's pretty odd. All the other chickens we kind of have to grab, but she actually walks up to us and wants us to hold her, which is kind of cool. All right, let's clean this up. Let me check the resolution on this guy. Meta says, I love chickens. Been thinking to get some myself. Yeah, they're cool. Meta says, thinking of a setup for them to keep them safe out here. Where are you from, Meta? Yeah, for me, what I did, it was kind of weird. I had a really large sandbox that I built my kids when they're little, you know, like 2-3-year-olds. Right now they're 9 and 7, but yeah, the sandbox was, let me see, maybe 9 by 9, so 9 feet by 9 feet. And I decided to, you know, the kids aren't playing in the sandbox anymore, so I decided to use that sandbox as a base because it has like this raised, you know, it basically looks like a raised bed, like it had a wooden base on the bottom. And so I used that as a base to build the chicken coop. So that's like the chicken run, the 9 by 9 area, and then I built the actual home area on the left side of it. But the funny thing is, since it's hot here in California, they don't actually go into their like coop, right? They stay out in the run. And the run, thankfully, is like tall enough. It's about like 7 or 8 feet tall. So they just like hang out there. They just sleep there. Yeah, out here in California, the heat is the problem, not the cold. Because it will get in the hundreds out here. And I am kind of concerned about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So that's the greatest concern out here, actually. You're in Maine, Meta? Cool. Maine gets cold, right, in the wintertime? But yeah, I heard that for most chickens, the cold is not a problem either. They just huddle up together. Unless it's like freezing, like super, super cold, I guess. I don't know. Do you guys have limits on if you could have roosters or not? Or like how many chickens you can have in your area, Meta? Meta says they had to have a heat lamp for them. I did too. At least when they're chicks, right? They don't have their what do you call it? Their adult feathers or whatever. The ones that keep them warm, so yeah, we had to have a heat lamp as well. I'm guessing they would have survived without it, but you know, who knows? I'm not an expert. I don't want them to suffer, right, if they don't have to, so I just played it safe. Oh, so Meta says there's no limits in their area for how many chickens or roosters. That's awesome. I wish I could have a rooster. I understand why we can't around here, because, you know, the houses just aren't far enough apart. But like every 8 or 6-8 years, I gotta go get new chicks, right? I can't make my own chicks. So that part sucks. And I feel bad for the chicks that have to travel, like, you know, 3 days in the mail to get here. That's probably not fun at all for them. But anyways, yeah, it's better. Like one of my kids kept asking me, why can't we have our own rooster? What do we do after, these chickens die? So even my kid knows that it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's cool that you're able to have a rooster, make your own chicks. I drew this wrong. Actually, the next thing I want to get are bunnies. So later when I have more time, I'm going to do a little bit more research and figure out where I could put my bunnies in the future. Does anyone have bunny rabbits? Let's bring this out more. The resolution's not high at all around here. I might have to increase it. Hey, what's going on, Pedro? Oh, Meta, so you're lucky. You could just walk over to the store and get some chicks, huh? They have one like that's maybe 15 minutes from where I live, but the problem is they don't have enough of those shops around here. So like this year when I went to buy some, they're always sold out. Or they just didn't have the ones I wanted, like the variety of chicken that I wanted. So yeah, that's the problem here. Have you ever had ducks before? I thought about getting ducks, but it was just an extra, it just seemed like it'd be more work because you have to get like some kind of water pond thingy, right, where they could bathe in. So I just didn't do it yet. And I think I heard that they're noisy too, so that's why I did not get any ducks yet. Let's see. Yeah, it comes way down. This is pretty off here. Hey, Julian. High maintenance chickens, high demand chickens. Oh yeah, you mean high demand. Yeah, the demand out here is high. It's just, again, not enough shops or like that sell chickens. I think that's the only one around here for like, I don't know, maybe 15 miles. All ways, all different ways. So yeah, it's pretty hard to find chickens around here. Oh, so Meta is saying that the ducks, Meta's childhood friend had ducks, and they are much higher maintenance. Yeah, that's what I heard. Wait a minute. Meta's asking, would you say if you want to succeed as a concept artist, you'll have to move out to a city? Nope. You don't have to. At all. I mean, you know, everything's done online, so you really don't have to move out anywhere. Unless, the only benefit or the only reason why I would think about moving to a larger city would be if I wanted to do a mentorship program with, you know, a known, like a one-on-one or in-person mentorship with a professional, or like join one of those schools that are run by professionals, right? Professional concept artists out in California, or I'm sure they have some like in Texas or wherever, you know. I'm just more familiar with the ones out in California because that's where I'm from. But yeah, those things I could see being beneficial. But other than that, if you're self-motivated, everything's online, so why do you have to, you know, move out anywhere else? It's just going to be a money drain if you come to California. Everything's so expensive here. Yeah. So no, it's not like Hollywood or something where you have to come out to, you know, LA to like get exposure or anything like that. Hey Funland, what's going on? Yeah, I mean it's a great time to be an artist in my opinion right now. So much opportunity, so many different things you can do with art now because of the internet, because of social media. You can market yourself so much better now. Sure, there's a lot more artists that you're competing with, or it seems that way because everyone's, you know, out putting themselves out there. But yeah, I mean, there's so much more opportunities. It's just completely different from when I started. This was back in like 2001 is when I was looking for a job. Yeah, 2001. Some of you guys are probably born in 2001. But 2001 is when I finished school, or when I was looking for yeah, a job. Or actually an internship at the time. But it ended up becoming like a full-time job. Is there a reason why you felt like you might have to move out to the city, Meta? Just curious to know what your reasons were for thinking that way. Maybe there's some things that I didn't think about. Like legitimate reasons, you know? Meta says, well, just hearing rumors that companies prefer to have their concept artists on site. I have, oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I think I misunderstood your initial question. I thought you were asking, yeah, if you're training to be a concept artist, if you have to move out to the city. Eventually you might have to move for a job, yeah. Having said that, obviously because of what's going on with the virus and all that, right? Things have changed quite a bit for the game, or sorry, I would say I'll just speak for the gaming industry, right? Because that's what I'm familiar with. Things have changed quite a bit, where a lot of companies, like large companies even, are all going remote. They're going fully distributed, which means everyone's just working from home, right? Remotely. So that's a good thing, I think, for people who want to have a career or job in the gaming industry. It just makes it better in many ways, because you don't have to be stuck driving or commuting for hours. I mean, people in LA and San Francisco, man, I was driving like 3 hours a day, and I hate driving. Some people don't mind it, but I hate it. So so that's gone if you're working from home. Yeah, you're not wasting any time. You're not risking your life driving around the city, right? And you don't get road rage, so your sanity's in check. Um, and your living costs are a lot lower if you could live in, in I mean, not a rural area, but like a more suburban area. It's better to raise kids and things like that if you plan on doing that. Uh, yeah, I mean, living costs are like half the price if you're outside of the city. Julian says, I also have the feeling I need to move because lots of companies write like they offer relocation assistance. Yeah, they do. They do write that, right? But again, like I said, these days, ever since last year, things are changing or have changed quite a bit. Um, so again, it's a positive thing for, I think, for people who want a career or job in the industry. Um, Even for me, it's been super positive. I always looked for jobs where I can work remotely. And in the past, it was very difficult to find those positions. There's only maybe a few that I could find. Um, yeah, but nowadays there's a bunch of them. Even my last job, I was working from home. And this current job that I have, I'm working from home permanently. So you can see that there's more options now. At the same time, like having said that, like for your first job, sure, it's like cool to be in the studio, be around other artists, right? Rub shoulders with them, learn from them. That part was really fun for me in the beginning. Like the first, I would say 10 years of working. Sorry, I guess that's not like, that's actually sounds long, right? But in my experience, yeah, the first 10 years of working, it was awesome to be around like other artists. I'm older now, so it's like, okay, I've already done all that. No need to do that for myself anymore. But yeah, because I'm saying that because a lot I hear from younger artists, or not younger, but artists who are starting off, that they do want to be in the studio, and it does make sense to me why. But we're just all using Zoom these days, and having all our meetings on Zoom or something like Zoom. And it's been 100% fine. It's almost more efficient. I mean, I honestly think it's more efficient. We get more work done. And it's like, again, you're not wasting 3 hours a day like driving or commuting, so that is mentally much better for me at least. Oh man. Meta says, I've lived my whole life out in the country. It's intimidating to think of moving to a large city. Yeah. I actually like suburban or more rural areas myself, even though I grew up in big cities. Uh, I realized it when I moved to Champaign-Urbana in Illinois for my first job. So for my first job back in 2001, I had to move out of California all the way to Illinois. So Champaign-Urbana is 2 hours south of Chicago. So yeah, I had to move there, and when I moved out there, I realized that I like this. I like a more like laid back, like small town feel. More room between, the houses. Just a lot less traffic. more nature. I realized, oh, I really like this a lot. I personally feel like everything being so busy, you know, we're already so busy, right, as a society, but just surrounding ourselves with more busy traffic, ton of people walking around everywhere, being in lines everywhere you go. It's just not, in my opinion, it's not like how things should be, or it's not normal. Even though to us it does seem normal, to many of us, um, it's too much stress. It's not healthy, I think, in my opinion. It's not a healthy thing. We all adapt and get used to like our environment, right? But that doesn't mean it's healthy for us, right? Just my opinion. It makes it so we don't think, we don't have time to think. We don't have time to appreciate things. Yeah. We're just always busy, always distracted, or distracting ourselves from everything. Julian says, for me, it would also be like a family thing. My girlfriend has here a job and her family. Yeah, that's a real consideration for sure. Um, I'm glad you guys are thinking about all that, because obviously those things are very important. Just knowing how you are, what you enjoy, what kind of lifestyle you guys want to live. All those things are super, super important. And you have to ask yourself if it's worth sacrificing those things to get a job or to build up a career, right? It might be easier if you move to get a job right away. I'm just saying it might, but is it worth it is the question you have to ask yourself. And for some people, it's not. Meta says that too, hard to move away with family, uprooting those you want to bring with you. Yeah, that's why I'm still in California. I wanted to move, or if it was just up to me, I would move out of California for many reasons, but I'm still in California because of family. I can't make everyone move, right? So I'm still in California, paying high taxes. And, you know, extremely high cost of living. Makes no sense. Oops. Whoa. All right. Let's see. All right, it looks like I'm done with the head, so let's keep going down. The head was going to be the hardest part. So I tackled that, got that out of the way. Any other questions? Oh, okay, I see some, okay. Meta is asking, what was your first job in Illinois? It was a concept art position at the time they were called Volition. Starts with a V, as in Victor, Volition. Right now they're called Deep Silver Volition. But yeah, that was a very good first job. Yeah, people were cool there, and living costs were dirt cheap. It was ridiculously cheap. The game that I was working on at the time was a role-playing game, fantasy role-playing, which was perfect for, you know, what I was into at the time. Yeah, it was super fun. Great first job. I was there for about 3 years until I quit. Yeah, and that's a whole different story. But Julian's asking, how do you set the horizontal grid line to the character? How do you decide on their position, not making too much of them? Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, you just have to pull up your ruler. See how I have the ruler up here on the top and on the left side? I'm not gonna, usually it's on a shortcut on your keyboard. I think it's Command R, I believe. Maybe not, maybe I just said it that way before, but here, if you can't find it on your shortcut, it's under View, Rulers. Just make sure that's checked right here, and then the ruler should pop up. Once you have the ruler on, you just click and drag with your see, if you go up to the ruler, it's a little arrow. Just click on with your mouse and drag it down, and then let go, and it'll make a guideline. And you could turn your guidelines off. On my Mac keyboard, it is Command. Actually, I'm not sure. I do everything automatically, so when I'm looking at my keyboard, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, it's Command semicolon. So I could turn it on and off. But yeah, you just drag all this. Oops, you drag it down and set it wherever you want. You could do the same with the verticals. Drag it from the ruler. Let it go. And how do I know where to set it? Oh yeah, and you could continue to move them around if you select your select tool. Then you could hover over that guideline, and then it'll change, and you can move it around, right? Yeah, so you could change or reposition your guides. And where do I put it? It's basically on the major shapes, medium and major shapes. So obviously the tip of those horns, where the position of the eyes are, the brow, the chin, right? All those major points. Because, you know, all the rest of the stuff you kind of eyeball. Yeah. So anything to help you at least set the major and medium shapes in the correct position, that's what I would do, or at least start with. Because yeah, if you try to line up everything, it gets super busy, right? Or you could just start with the medium and large shapes, and then once you're done with that, you know, you could add more. It's less confusing if you do it in steps, instead of putting all your guidelines down all at once, right? And like I said, you could reposition them, so. It's not all going to line up perfectly, to be honest, but it should line up for the most part. Because like, if you look at this arm position, I repositioned that arm, you know, it's not like it's in the exact same angle. It's the arm that I have in my turnaround, the front view, is actually something in between these two arms. It's not as low as that, because when I did it, I matched it up to this arm, it was just too long looking, like the arm looked way too long. So I just, and this is obviously bent where his arm is bent like that, so that's not going to be correct. So I just positioned it to something in between. Yeah. Meta's asking, where did you study to become a concept artist? So, for me personally, I would say, well, I went to art school. I went to Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California. But they did not have a entertainment design major at the time. So my major was illustration. A lot of the classes, I would say most of them were not, yeah, I don't think I took a concept art class. Of course, I took a lot of figure drawing classes, things like that. But nothing that was geared specifically towards concept art. Yeah, I don't think I did. So it was a mixture of art college and me just being self-motivated, trying to figure out like how to do it by searching on stuff like online. What I would do is I would go to the different game websites and look for concept art. And again, back in the day, there was not a lot of stuff. Right now, there's a ton of things, but at the time there wasn't a lot. So I would just gather all the reference I could, and then come up with something that was similar, meaning like, you know, like what a concept art portfolio would look like. And yeah, I mean, that's what I would study, is I would just study other concept art that was out there at the time. Hey, what's up, Evil Raccoon? Yeah, to change the time to earlier, or my original stream time, just because yeah, the new time was starting to conflict with other meetings that I have. But yeah, glad you can make it. But definitely at the time when I was studying art, if there were mentorship opportunities, I would have definitely taken that instead of going to art school or art college. It just takes out like all the BS of art school. Like, you're required to take all these classes that have nothing to do with what you want to do. That was like the hardest part for me in college. So I flunked some of my classes intentionally, because I'm like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to do a lettering class. You know what I mean? I don't want to do graphic design. I had to learn how to do digital painting and all that, like on my own with some of the guys that I knew at school. They didn't have a digital painting class, so we all had to figure it out on our own by just messing around with it. Oh, you've been busy with work, huh, Evil Raccoon? Well, again, glad you're able to make it. Julian says, I feel that I never wanted to learn typography. It's so silly. At the time, we were just using graphite pencils and ink to create like our own fonts and stuff like that. I hope they're not teaching that anymore in school, because it would make absolutely no sense. At the very least, just make it digitally, right? Not using traditional methods. Sure, there's a time and place for that stuff, the traditional stuff, but not for most people. I mean, maybe for illustrators, right? But not for anyone doing digital art. But yeah, I could see the benefit of that kind of stuff for illustrators, for sure. we don't want to lose, I guess, the traditional aspects of art. That would be sad too. Oh, Julian says we have to do the same. It's so fiddly with the typography, I guess. Evil Raccoon says, I feel like typography might work well with anyone wanting to make comics and such. Oh, that's true. Comics, I think that makes sense too. Because you want to come up with your own, I guess, look, like font, or whenever you exaggerate the words, right? Like bam, pow, whatever, right? You have to come up with your own style, right? It's not like you could come up or use a font for that kind of stuff. That in itself is like art, right? Well, it's already been an hour. I feel like I gotta speed this up, but I'm going so slow. Hmm. Evil Raccoon is asking, is it a rare case for artists to get hired without any college degrees or no form of any art education except for being self-taught? For the most part, nobody cares about college degrees or art education. In the gaming industry, I would say it's probably the same in the movie industry. Yeah. There's probably maybe a few percentages, like maybe I've seen like 5% of listings that care about, you know, your degree and stuff like that. But again, majority, over 95%, I would say they don't care. It's all about what you can do. If they care about that stuff, they're silly, in my opinion. To me, all a degree shows is that you can, it doesn't show that much to me. All a degree shows me is that you're able to complete something, right? Does that mean you can do, you know, a high-level job? No, it doesn't. It just means you're average, to me. You know what I mean? And that doesn't help you get a job. How could being average help you get a job like this, where it's, you know, you have to have a high level of work ethic, extremely high level of work. You have to be the minimum top 5% of like having the work ethic to pull this stuff off. And that degree, so that's why the degree doesn't mean anything in a field like this where it's highly competitive. You know what I mean? So we don't need to, like, when we look at your portfolio and you're good, we know that you work your butt off. There's no question. The degree means nothing. We know you went beyond a degree, like well beyond a degree, if your portfolio looks awesome. I know like some foreign game companies, like maybe from Asia or things like that, they may care about the degree a bit, just putting that out there. But in the US at least, they don't care. And the reason why, you know, some of these Asian game companies care is more about just their culture, right? Or like traditionally how they review candidates and things like that. But I'm sure that's going to change in the future too. Because yeah, I do have experience working with a Chinese game company, a large Chinese game company, and they did care about that stuff. They were asking me about my college education, and I was very surprised by that. I mean, later when I thought about it, it didn't surprise me because it all made sense why, like I already explained, but initially during the interview I was surprised because nobody's ever asked me about my education before in the past. Oh man, I feel like I drank too much coffee at once. I feel a little jittery. I started drinking this coffee where you have to water it down. It's cold brew, but you have to water it down. It's concentrated, so I think I didn't water it down enough or something. Julian's asking, how did you react then in the interview, and how did they react back? Oh, with the Chinese game company? No, it wasn't a big deal. I just told them about my experience because I did graduate from college, so for me it was like whatever. I just explained to them, what school I went to and what I did and all my major, and I mean it was a positive thing in that situation because they knew Art Center, like Asian companies care about like reputation and stuff like that, image, um, like the school name matters and silly things like that. But yeah. So I guess it was a positive for me in that situation, even though in reality it actually doesn't mean anything to me. Because I'm not saying like going to a good college doesn't help like you grow as an artist or a person. It does. All I'm saying is that doesn't it shouldn't make or break you getting a job. You know what I mean? Um, that's all I'm saying. It's very limited in scope or what it actually shows a person, I think. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be like the most important thing or even an important thing in my opinion. It's just one thing out of like maybe 5 or other things you're considering. In my opinion, the portfolio is always number one, like what you what you can do, right? And then it's maybe it's work ethic, I would say. You someone who works hard, who always wants to learn and grow as a person or artist, right? That's the other thing. And then lastly, I would say it's being a team player, being somebody who works well with others. You know what I mean? That is an aspect that's very important as well. Because if you are not and you have an ego, then I don't want to work with you. Because people like that are difficult to work with. It's a pain in the butt. So I don't care how good you are at art or whatever you do, I don't want to work with someone like that. Give me a headache every day then. And I've said it before, there were cases, like a handful of cases where the person, candidate would have gotten hired, but when they came in for an in-person interview, they just didn't pass that aspect where you can tell like they're not a team player. They're just all about themselves, and then, all right, don't really want to work with someone like that. Evil Raccoon asks, are you a coffee lover? I think I am. I'm probably just addicted to coffee. I mean, I need it to function right now, which is kind of sad. At the same time, even if I didn't need it, I just like the taste. So yeah, I guess I do really like coffee. I've tried to quit multiple times just for health reasons, but I've failed over and over again. Julian is asking, did you hire people at Blizzard? Can you tell a bit about the time? About that time, some funny stories maybe? Yeah, so, yeah, I was part of you know, as concept artists, like the senior guys, we hire, or we, were part of the hiring process. Yeah, there was a time when one of the guys came in a suit to the interview, and we all thought that was kind of funny. I mean, he's a friend now, but he straight up came in a suit. It almost looked like a tuxedo or something, like a black and white suit. But yeah, we made fun of him for that. Because yeah, interviews at game companies, it's just casual. You just dress nice. You don't have to dress all, you don't tuck in your shirt, things like that, you know what I mean? Or you don't have to. If that's what you do, that's fine, but you know, you could even come in a t-shirt and no one's gonna say anything. But I generally try to dress nice when I go on interviews. I try to I try to dress up the most I usually would. Yeah, so just dress the way you're comfortable. That's what I would say. What other stories? There were guys who we didn't hire because they just seemed like they're so into their own selves. And it seemed like they'd be hard to work with, so we didn't hire people that came on site. There's a dude that, a concept artist that still drew on paper. That was interesting. We're like, you don't use Photoshop? He's like, he brings out all these rolls of like scrolls of paper that he drew on, and we're like, what the? That was kind of weird. We're like, how are you gonna make changes when we tell you to make changes? You gotta erase everything. What else? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there weren't that many funny stories about, you know, hiring people. Like after they got hired, we would, you know, kind of initiate them in. I can't talk about that, but because that probably doesn't happen now. But we did mess with new hires a little bit back in the day. Evil Raccoon's asking, have you ever worked with anyone with a lot of anxiety, or they're just generally shy? Oh yeah, for sure. You know, artists. A lot of artists naturally are more introverted and shyer, which we expect, you know. Again, I was like that too, like when I was younger. You just have to kind of grow out of that, or learn just how to deal with it, because you still have to be a professional, and you still have to adapt, right, to whatever your job requires. So you learn as you go, you know. And some things it's just like, you realize a lot of the stuff that you're worried about when you're younger doesn't matter, who cares, it's not a big deal. Which I think is a good thing to, again, grow out of certain things. Not saying it's wrong to be introverted, but, you know, it's just like turning on your extrovert side when you need to. And it doesn't even mean you have to be fake. Like, I don't like that idea either. I don't believe in that stuff. Meaning, I think that's a negative thing when you feel like you have to be fake. And again, sometimes you end up being fake just because you're learning. Like, you're going through the process of how do I be how do I function in society? How do I function at my job? You know, how do I do what I need to do still while still trying to be myself, right? And that's a struggle. That's a struggle for everyone, I think. Some people just settle and they just be fake, and that's fine if it works for them, but I just don't believe in that. So you're trying to just develop different aspects of yourself. And again, it takes time. Oops. Yeah, that was a struggle for me, for sure. Sometimes it's still a struggle, to be honest. Meaning, like, how do you remain true to yourself? Yeah, like I think, isn't that like a lifelong struggle? Because I think it's extremely important to be yourself. Be honest with yourself and how you represent yourself. But at the same time, life is not ideal, right? There's almost no ideal situation, so again, you learn as you go. Don't not try things because it's not perfect. Learn as you go. Keep struggling. But that's the hard part, because most people don't want to struggle. Yeah, I'm gonna take a 1-minute break real quick, okay? If you like streams like this, please give me a like. I would appreciate it. Give me a minute, I'll be right back, alright? Alright, thanks for waiting. Oh yeah, there was a artist that we just going back to your question, Evil Raccoon, about shy artists. So I've seen people who quit working in the industry because they couldn't handle the pressure or criticism, right? That's another huge thing for artists, right? Is that when you work in the industry, you have to be you have to have thick skin, or at least, sorry, more accurately, you can't take things personally, right? When someone like an art director or even a peer like gives you feedback on your work, like let's say, that's the more accurate term, which is not a lie, it's the truth. It's just giving you feedback, right, on artwork. Criticism sounds like, or critique sounds like something negative, right? So I guess it's better not to use that term. It's feedback. And yeah, when people give you feedback, just don't, you learn not to take it personally. It's not personal. it's simply, it can be an opinion, it could be asking you to suggesting you to consider like things, right? Sometimes it's saying yes, you have to change certain things, right? Strongly coming out and saying change these things, right? For these reasons, right? So again, it's learning how to not take those feedback personally, right? Like, and for a lot of artists, it's difficult or challenging to have a good attitude about that kind of stuff, because a lot of artists like pour their energy and life into the whatever they're producing, right? Um, but yeah, you learn for the most part. But again, I've seen artists who will quit after being years, like working in the industry for a couple years, they would quit because they just can't do it. They can't take the feedback. And then I remember we had a junior artist when I was an art director at a different company. There was a junior artist that it's a little funny, but she was like super like shy about showing her artwork, or insecure about it. So like whenever I walk by, she would like cover up her screen. And I'm like, oh. Cause it wasn't like, in her mind, it wasn't ready to present it to me, like, right? She wanted it to like be presentable, right? But yeah, like in my mind, I'm not thinking, it's not like I'm judging her for that one art piece or anything like that. That's not what it is. Like, I'm more focused on like not wasting time in terms of like, if the concept she's working on is going the wrong direction, I'd rather give her feedback, right? I'd rather give her feedback immediately so she's not wasting time. Yeah, that's really what it's about. It has nothing to do with me saying, judging her and thinking, oh, she's not doing a good job, or why isn't she getting it? It has nothing to do with that, honestly, in my mind. I think like I'm trying to help her so she doesn't like waste time, so she doesn't feel like she spent all this time on something and then I come around and tell her to stop, start over. You know what I mean? That's the worst. That's like the concept artist nightmare, is like you spend all this time on something and then the director comes in and goes, start over. Yeah, so sure, there's all sorts of different artists, right? As you guys know, probably. I've been doing this for 20 years and I've seen all sorts of different artists. There's artists who are like overly confident. There's artists that are, they downplay like, their level of art. There's artists that are overly self-conscious for no reason. They're great at what they do and they're self-conscious, right? So yeah, there's a whole mixed bag of artists, right? There's artists that don't communicate. So that could be an issue. It's like they just don't communicate. And it's like, hey, we have to work together. They're cool and all, but like they don't have an ego, right? But they just don't communicate for whatever reason. It's like you gotta pull teeth. It's like pulling teeth. Like, say something. So yeah, that's all something most artists, in my opinion, have to learn, is just communicating. Learning how to communicate, learning to communicate often, right? Because you're not working by yourself anymore, you're working as a team, things like that. So even when you're in like the CG Spectrum classes, right? In a group class, or even just one-on-one with a mentor, practice just chatting, practice talking. practice chatting about your work, explaining your work, all that stuff, right? Presenting your work, because that's all the stuff that's going to help you in the future. As a concept artist or art director or lead artist, whatever you choose to do in the future, right? All those things, like practicing communication, is going to help. I mean, I suck at communication too. I'm still learning, you know? Like, admittedly, like, honestly, right? But I still have a job. I still work as an art director. But that is not my strength, for sure. It is not. But it's something I still have to do every other hour, or every, like, you know, half hour. I'm always communicating. And I'm always trying to get better at it. Maybe not trying hard enough, but but still. Yeah, the paper dude. He you know what's funny? He actually got the job later on. Like, he tried multiple times to get a job at Blizzard, and he finally got it after like a few years, I think, of trying. And then eventually he was let go. I think it had to do with just working on paper again. It would just take him too long. So yeah, I think he got let go of. I don't know how long he worked at Blizzard, but eventually he did get let go of. He was a cool dude, though. Like, I remember he was super enthusiastic and passionate about what he did. Alright, I'm gonna collapse all this and duplicate it. Put it on, flip it onto the other side. Any other questions? Could be about anything. I'm gonna double up this line layer just to thicken it up. Those arms still look huge to me. Wow. Maybe it's because there's no volume on it, or like, values on it, but I'm going with it. I'm leaving it until someone says something. Oh boy. I'm gonna try thickening up some of these lines to show the overall shape so it reads better, so that when 3D artist works on it, it's not confusing to see this whole thing. So I'm gonna thicken up some of these lines. show the different sections. So it's gonna look a little cartoony, but I think it'll be helpful. Hey, what's up, Blasphemer? Chickens. We already talked about the chickens. You came in late, huh? The chickens are good. They are out and about in the backyard. They're hanging out. I made a automatic door for them, or bought an automatic door for them, so they just go in and out on their own in the morning and at night. Oh, it's funny. Yet last night, so they finally started going on this big old branch I put into their coop, and there's two different levels to it. One is like, you know, higher up, and the other is a little lower. And they fight over the top spot. Like, it's so silly. I was just watching them last night, and they're just fighting over it. Like, everyone wants to go to the highest point on the branch. And they're like trying to kick everybody off, but anyways, so they're doing good. They're having fun. Julian's asking, are you gonna do that Gaussian blur trick with the line art to enhance it? Like copy the layer 3% Gaussian blur and put that layer on 30% opacity. Did I do that before? I don't know. Is that something that people do? I have no idea. I'm not gonna do that. Or at least I wasn't planning on doing it. Is that something that people do when they do line art? There's so much to learn with just all this art stuff, right? I don't have the time to learn. Or not right now, at least. There's so many things I want to do and learn. Just don't have the time. I think that's good enough. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate that again. Just going to grab this whole thing. Actually, maybe not. Let's see. I'm sure you guys could use the symmetry tool thing where you're drawing and it draws on the other side. Maybe that'll be easier. But for me, I'm always changing stuff up, so I prefer to just do it this way. It's not a big deal. Alright, I actually gotta do a back view too. Sorry. Sorry everyone. Sorry, I'm sorry to myself too. I think the back view is gonna be fairly quick. Or I'm hoping. Just because there's not too much stuff back there. Oops, what am I doing? Oops. Oh, Julian, that's something you discovered? Cool. I'll look it up later. Yeah, chickens are all about the high ground, blasphemer. For sure. That's their hierarchy, right? Yeah. Julian, what's up with that expression? It's because you know I'm not gonna look it up later. Hey, I'm just trying to get through this. I don't want to get great at orthos. I'm just trying to get through this this turnaround. Thank God I don't have to do this for work, or you know, my game job. Oh boy. This morning when I woke up, I'm like, I'm gonna try to have a good attitude about this. It's kind of weird, like, I think I grew up, just, trying not to do anything I don't want to do. And I know for a lot of people, at least like Asians, right? They're kind of trained to do like things they don't want to do. But I was the opposite, where I just tried not to do anything I didn't want to do. Always like looking for a way out. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's because like, I still like worked really hard on the things I wanted to do, right? Just saying, that's how I am, I think. I'm always like trying to focus on things I want to do and trying not to, or get out of things I don't want to do. Yeah. Isn't that smarter? Get in trouble for that sometimes though, right? Even in school, that's why like I got in trouble in like some classes. Like, why didn't you do any work? You didn't turn in the final? What are you doing, Bernie? Julian's asking, are you more specialized into characters or environments? Or if not, what do you prefer? Characters, creature design, even though I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do different creature designs or monster designs. Oh, I did a lot of monsters, I guess, but yeah, I really like drawing animals and things like that, creatures. I think I prefer that even over human characters and things like that. It's just more interesting to me. More different things you can do with the design. Less boring. Oh, too much coffee. I feel jittery. That's unusual for me actually to feel jittery when I drink coffee. But again, I think I'm basically drinking the concentrate. I didn't put enough water in. It's crazy. um, yeah, I haven't had again like too much experience doing environment stuff. It's not really something I'm interested in. Of course, if I have more time, it's something I would want to develop just for fun. Um, but again, not enough time. I want to try my hand at like some of those plein air paintings. That looks fun. That's something that I wish I took in college, but I never again had the chance to. Um, like because I was just trying to focus on graduating as soon as possible. But yeah, that's something I'm interested in. Just looks like fun. Julian's asking, did your parents understand that you wanted to become a video game artist? No, they still don't understand what a game artist does, or a concept artist, or a like they don't know what I do. They still when they describe it to their friends, they say it's animation. And I'm like, I always explain to them this is not animation, but that's what they think it is, or that's the term they use, animation. He does animation art. But no, they didn't understand. Uh, I mean, they're Asian parents. They don't want you to do art. They don't know. They didn't know anyone growing up becoming successful at doing art. So again, it's understandable why they think that way. Um, yeah. I mean, like I said before in previous streams, like to be 100% honest, I don't even encourage my kids to do art. I don't discourage them, but I don't encourage them at all. Um, like I don't try to do anything to help them unless they're asking me directly. I don't do anything. I mean, even my sons will ask me to teach them how to draw. I actually don't teach them. Well, up to this point, I didn't. But just recently, again, my son is in third grade, so I feel like now's the time where he can start learning. So I'm gonna start to teach him a little bit. Um, and he's actually gonna take an art course, like on-site art course, like one of those places where you go paint or draw, learn how to do things traditionally. He's gonna go to one of those this summer. So yeah, it's not like I'm preventing him, but just didn't want to encourage that route just because I do it. You know, they see what I do and they think it's cool. Um, but you know, I know how hard it's gonna be, so I'm not gonna encourage it. I want them to feel like super self-motivated to want to do it, because when the hard times come, you know, they're already motivated. It's not like daddy encouraged me to do this, so it's your fault, dad. You know what I mean? I changed my mind. I don't want to do art anymore. No, I don't want it to be easy for them from the beginning, so that they have to make an effort to get into art, so that when the tough time comes, and they will, they're still able to push through it, right? That's my mentality behind it, at least. Maybe it's wrong, I don't know. That's what I'm doing. I mean, my parents always discouraged me from doing art. Maybe a little too much. Because I begged them to send me to like a after school art program. Instead, they sent me to piano for 3 years, which I hated. So, you know, that's not what I'm doing, at least. There's an improvement there in parenting. But yeah, like my kid, my older son who's 9 years old, he recently, like maybe a month ago, like drew me, I was taking a nap right on the couch. I fell asleep like after I ate dinner, like an old man, right? I fell asleep because my body couldn't handle it. It's digesting food and it's like time to shut down, Bernie. So I was just sleeping on the couch, like kind of like half sitting up in the couch and half like reclining on it. And my son drew me like while I was taking a nap. I think I was going in and out like of consciousness because I remember him like kind of drawing, right? Talking when he was drawing. And later I woke up and saw what he drew, and I was surprised how good he drew me. I was like, wow, it's actually pretty good. Anyways. Both of my kids are super creative, though. They're obviously more on that side. It's genetics. My wife was really good at art when she was younger too. She just wasn't trained. Like she did go to art school. Or sorry, not art school. Her major was actually art for the first year and a half, but she quit. Anyways, that's another story. But she quit after a year and a half. So yeah, we all have those artistic genes, or my kids have a concentration of artistic genes in them. Super, super creative kids. Sometimes it's annoying, to be honest, because they're always asking me, what if, and they're thinking of all these different scenarios in their head, and they're asking me like what I would do in this situation and that situation. I'm like, can you lay off on the what if questions? But they're always like thinking stuff up in their heads. Always drawing stuff, weird stuff. Asking me what I think about it. Always like they're coming up with different game ideas. And again, asking me what I think. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see them being creative and exploring different stuff. I'm distracted here. I can't figure out this hand. Let's see. Palm. Okay. Is it lunchtime yet? Oh, thanks, Julian. Yeah, I don't know. We're just trying. I had all these dreams of like, I don't know why, like growing up, even as a younger, like a teenager, I thought I wanted to have, I thought about having kids and um, I thought about like, I imagined about being a parent from a young age for whatever reason. I don't know why. Um, so like, I always wanted to be a good dad. But then once you are a dad, it's like you realize, oh, can't be a perfect dad because I'm not perfect. Now I understand why some parents fail. You know what I mean? They're just doing their best. You know what I mean? Yeah, all you can do is do your best. Yeah. My kids are cool. One of my sons, he's on the spectrum. Like he has some mild autism. My older son. Um, it's funny, I never noticed it until like well, my wife is the one who said she noticed it, but I never noticed it. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't know that. But yeah, it's mild. But yeah, he did have his own. He had a lot of issues in school. I mean, that's where it really showed up. Is like when he's with strangers who don't understand, like, how he is, right? For me, obviously, um, I grew up. I mean, I raised him, so like whatever I see in him is normal to me, right? So I understand like uh, how to help him out when he's like overreacting or going crazy sometimes, right? Um, so I know how to deal with him, but when other people don't know how to deal with him, it kind of makes the situation worse, right? Where if he's like having an outburst or like, what do you call it? Basically, he'll overreact sometimes to certain things, right? Certain situations, certain things that happen, and then you gotta like calm him down, basically, right? Help him to like think correctly or to control his emotions. And then but then when people don't understand how to do that with him, like it makes it worse sometimes or oftentimes. And he will lose control. I laugh about it now, but it was so stressful when he was in first and second grade. Uh, we would always get calls like almost every day from his school. Uh, we try to put him in private school, and well, he was in private school for a while, but anyways, at a different private school we tried to get him into, he got rejected because they're like, we don't have the capacity to deal with someone like him, right? Which is understandable. It's not like I didn't take it personal, but it's just kind of sucked, right? For us. Um, yeah. We understood he's going to be a handful. It's not about him. The teachers have to run a class, and with someone like him, it could be really hard. But anyways, he's growing out of it slowly. He's obviously taking like these IEP, like all these specialized classes for kids with autism. Like it's mainly like socializing, social skills, like developing his social skills, because his social skills are not great. So those are the things that he's working on. He's a super bright kid, super smart. He's like smarter than well, I'm not smart, so, but he's like super smart. He already knows like a lot more than I do. But again, it's one of those things like some autistic kids, they're very like knowledge oriented. So he'll like read a ton of books, and he's always he's always telling me facts. He's like, Dad, did you know blah 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 blah, like about history, right? I'm like, nope, I didn't know that. He's like, Dad, can I tell you a fact? Can I tell you about, the Roman civilization? He's like, do you know why it collapsed? Like, he's just telling me all this stuff. But yeah, he's also very good at art. I'm trying to figure out how to describe the lats here. I think I have to do an overlap over the bicep, so the part of that bicep is not going to show. Anyone here know people who have autism? Like close to anyone who has autism or is on the spectrum? Because, you know, everyone's a little different. Oh, Tony, your little brother has autism? So you understand what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, so the other issue with my older son who has autism is how he relates to his younger brother because his brother is 2 years older. I mean, sorry, 2 years younger than him. But yeah, like he frustrates his younger brother a lot because his younger brother doesn't have autism, so like he doesn't understand. He gets frustrated by what his older brother does a lot. So that's kind of sad. They get along fine and they play, you know, really well, but for the most part. But there are times that there are things that are consistently like an issue. So yeah, that part they're still working on, and we're still working on. Um, but thankfully, his younger brother is really understanding for the most part. But you know, there are those frustrating things that happen. Did you have to deal with that, Tony? I mean, you're the older brother though, so it might be a little bit different. But I'm sure you experienced something like that. Oh, so your little brother has a music gene. That's cool. Composes his own music for orchestras. That's awesome. Wow. Hey, Stephanie. Stephanie says my uncle is, and he's very knowledge focused too. Specifically, he really likes music history. Cool. Yeah, that knowledge based stuff. It's funny, it's interesting. How do my kids deal with it, Julian? Deal with again the just the autistic brother. Um, we just have talks with them, or my younger son. I just explain to him why he's like that, or you know, it's not like he's trying to be mean or anything like that. Um, it's just his weak, or sorry, it's just what he needs to work on. You know, like the social skills part. We all have things we need to work on, right? And that's just one of the things the older brother has to work on is his social skills. And then I talk to the younger brother about, or my younger son about what he needs to work on, you know? So it's all the same thing. It's not like someone's better than the other. It's just we all have different things we need to work on. Oh boy. Monday. Who likes Mondays here? Tony says when he was younger he was like that, but he calmed down a bit as he got older. He tends to go into himself rather than shout out and scream, and it takes a while to get him out of his wee world. Yeah. That's good to hear that, you know, I've heard from a lot of people that they grow out of some of the things that they deal with, right? Yeah, and they're really into their own head, right? Into what's going on in their own mind, right? Yeah. I was dealing with him last night. He couldn't go to sleep because he was angry about something. But yeah, it takes a long time for them to overcome whatever like feelings or things that they feel don't make sense to them, right? Like why it happened this way or whatever. Um, Anyways, but yeah, it's still fun. Cool. Thanks everyone for joining me on the stream. Yeah, thanks for dealing with some of the boring stuff I'm doing right now. Hopefully to some people this is helpful though. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great week. Again, give me a like if you can. That'd be great. I appreciate that. Again, have a great week working on your art projects and doing your studies. Keep going, work hard, and I'll see you guys next Monday, okay? See ya, bye.